Hey everyone, welcome to this week's conversation. I appreciate you tuning in, and I suggest you buckle up because this is going to be a fun one. From America's Got Talent to funny women of a certain age to comedy clubs all across the country, my guest tonight has been on a mission to bring laughter and joy to everyone she meets. Please welcome to the conversation comedian Julia Scotti. Julia, welcome to the show.
Oh my God! I'm like, I can't even believe I'm there. I'm so excited that I'm there. I never get to see me now. I'm like, don't get your hopes up, Bill. I'm not that good.
Well, I will tell you, folks, for those of you watching, we've already had a blast before we even started recording. We've had so many things we were talking about. We figured, you know what? We better get started. So,
Yeah, yeah.
this is
I'm
so,
not getting, I'm not getting any younger. Come on.
neither am I. Thank God we both look good, though. That's all that matters.
We do, don't we? I was thinking that the other night. I lost a bunch of weight in the last couple of months, and hope I'm not sick. But but even if I am, I look good, so I feel good.
Yeah, well, that's, yeah, as people have often said, it's not how you feel, it's how you look. And we look good. So there you go.
I agree. If you
Awesome. Well, I'll tell you, Julie,
Anyway,
no, absolutely. And we've got a lot that we're going to be talking about now that we've officially kicked things off. But what I'd like to do is it's pretty clear to anybody who's followed your career that comedy has been a part of your life for a long, long time, for decades, as I mentioned in the intro. But what was it that first drew you to comedy, and what are some of your favorite early memories?
well, I'm in it really 45 years, so it'll be 46 start. Next May it starts my.
Wow.
I think when they say like priests and nuns get the calling,
Yeah.
uh, I think that's what it was for me too, because I remember being very, very young, and it was all I ever wanted to do. I mean, I'm talking about maybe 6, 7 years old. I love
Wow.
to make people laugh. I can't, my childhood was pretty gross and disgusting. And so it was a way for me to get acceptance,
Hmm.
with my friends and other people and get them to like me. So I was a fan of Abbott and Costello, and I was a fan of Laurel and Hardy and the Three Stooges, and once you learn how to do that, the very basics, uh, it's very addictive. You get hooked on it.
Oh, I
And
I
I
can.
tried, I swear, I tried being an upright citizen and doing the 9 to 5 I can't. I just can't. I can't.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning in. We appreciate each and every one of you. And we also appreciate our first and longest running sponsor of the show, Tom and his team of insurance professionals at the Malin Agency. If world class customer service and doing business with someone you can trust is important to you, give Tom and his team a call today for all your insurance needs. Yeah, because you were a teacher, right, at one point?
I was a teacher for 7 years. I love teaching, but I don't, comedians, as you know, don't do well with authority figures.
Yeah.
And I wasn't used to having people above me that could tell me what to do. And I always heard the phrase, "You're not the boss of me," coming out of my mouth, and they were. So
Well,
I left. I left after 7 years. Very sad that I left. I would have liked to have stayed.
what's interesting is, Julia, some of my favorite comedians and also become friends with, had them on the show, Chip Chantry, Jay Black, Jay Yoder, all teachers, just like
It's
yourself.
the natural extension. I went the other way. I went from comedian to teaching, and then back to comedian again.
Yeah.
But it's just like stand up, except they're sober. Well, most of them anyway. The kids, but you use the same skill set, communication
Sure.
and engagement, entertainment. You have to with these kids.
No, absolutely. That's a great point. You have to hold their attention. And one thing I
Hmm.
learned in the short time that I've been doing stand up is when you're up there on that stage and you're holding that mic, and there's because I sang in bands and things for years, there'd be other musicians or music, there'd be other things that could help. When you're up there doing stand up, it's you, the mic, and everybody else. It's exhilarating and terrifying at the same time.
I was opening for Chicago, the band Chicago,
Oh, wow.
and I was at the Broome County Arena in Binghamton, New York, right? And we were there, and really nice guys. So we were doing there for sound check in the afternoon. It's a 5,000 seat arena, right? So we're backstage, after the sound check. The craft services brings meals and everything, and we're sitting around, yakking. And I think it was what's his name, Stephen Pankow, the trombonist,
Oh, James
um,
Pankow.
Dave Pankow. That's it. He says to me, "How do you do that? How do you?" I go, "How do I do what?" He goes, "How do you go out and do that in front of all those people?" I'm like, "You're effing Chicago. I mean, you're playing stadiums."
Yeah.
And he said the same thing you did. He goes, "Yeah, but if I screw up, I have the rest of the band to back me up." And now I hadn't thought of it, that I was going to be standing alone in front of 5,000 people. I went, yeah, thanks a lot for reminding me. Now I have to
Yeah.
go do it.
Well,
Um,
Julie, another aspect of it that and I have to say, when I had to come up with a 5 minute set for my graduation show, I had no idea what it would take to come up with 5 minutes that's relatively consistently funny, set up, punch, set up, punch. It blew me away and it gave me, I mean, I've always been a huge fan of stand-up comedy, but I just had so much more respect for comedians like yourself that have been doing it for so long. So one thing I'm curious about is what does your writing process look like? Because I know for me, it's a lot different than writing songs. It's a lot harder. So what does your
well,
process
I,
look
I don't know
like?
if you could see behind me. Can you
Yeah.
see all the crap on my desk?
Yeah.
I'm in the process of it. There was a pile of papers here and files, and over in my bookcase, there's mountains of paper. On my computer, there are files after files after files. I have stuff that I've tried to work on. I've tried to work out. Not didn't work. I store it away,
Hmm.
and my process is I'll come back to it, and I go, well, maybe I'm not ready for this. Maybe I don't have the skills for this yet. I have behind me, um, I have on the wall, if a joke doesn't work, the questions I ask, is the punchline funny enough? In this case, maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
Wow.
Is the premise too silly to be believable? My stuff is truth-based always. And so sometimes I'll go off the deep end a little bit and I go, that's just stupid, Julia. You know? And is it too wordy? Sometimes that's the issue.
Hmm.
So you have to edit down. You cut it down to, what's 30 words could be six. And is the rhythm off? That's another,
Ooh.
comedy's very musical. And is the joke in the right place in my act? So all of those things I will look at in my process, and keep working it like a sculptor. The clay, you're moving the clay around.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. I appreciate you sharing that because one of the things you just said I found can be incredibly challenging, and that's being too wordy. And
Yeah.
because I know for me anyway, I'll try to tell stories, and then sometimes those stories by nature are kind of wordy and lengthy,
Mhm.
and it's just like chop, 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 and man, what a process that is.
I teach students privately. I have comedians that I tutor, and that's one of the biggest problems. The other problem that I come across with them too is that they tend to write um, what I call Catskillian type material, the old-fashioned joke, uh, which doesn't really work much anymore in contemporary comedy. And so I will try to teach them how to craft it so that it's more personal. There's another piece of paper behind me. Bill Persky, the writer who with his partner Sam Denoff wrote so many of the Dick Van Dyke episodes,
Okay.
had four rules for comedy that I make my students copy and put in their computer. But the first one is start with the truth.
Hmm.
And I can't emphasize that enough with comics. And it's so important with me. I may have exaggerated the truth in my act in certain pieces, but it's always truth based.
Right. No,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So,
Now, when you look at it, and you were talking about working with your students and how some things maybe have changed. Uh, has your process changed in terms of writing and putting things together over the years? Has that evolved as well for you personally?
yes, yes. I over the years, I've always my I'm trying. I want to say this the right way. I want to. My style has changed dramatically because when you start as a comic, you tend to emulate your idols,
Hmm.
and everybody does it. And and we tend to write in the style of our like if you're a Carlin fan, you'll write in that style. So with your idols when you start out, you write in their style, but then you deconstruct yourself and you rebuild yourself into your voice, so that your voice is there. And if the goal is to make your voice original,
Hmm.
and and I'm still working toward that after all these years.
I appreciate you sharing that because one thing that has been fascinating for me and having so many different comedians on the show and of varying experience levels, and one of the things that many of them have talked about is finding their voice. And
Yeah.
in some cases, it was 5 years or 10 years. In other cases, it's 40 years and still working on it. So I just find that fascinating.
Well, in my case, it was a little bit different. It's typically 7 to 10 years, but I had an event in my life that that changed everything. And the event, enabled me to finally find my voice because I was finally my true self on stage.
Wow. Yeah, and I remember, Julia, in the clip of your audition on AGT, uh, Howie Mandel asked I remember you going back and forth with Howie Mandel about that, and you asked him if he wanted to know. And when you shared that, that was one of the most powerful moments I've seen on that show.
They left it up, for those of your viewers who don't know, I'm transgender. So they left it up to me as to whether or not I was going to do the reveal
Hmm.
at all. And initially wasn't, but I said, if I do it, I won't do it until after the set because I want the set to be judged on its own merit. And that's exactly what happened. And when he asked me that, um, at the very last second, I decided to do it because I thought that somewhere out there, 13 million viewers, somewhere out there, there was somebody who was struggling with what I struggled with.
Hmm.
And maybe this will help them if they see somebody like them on national television. And I heard from a lot of people all over the world I didn't know it that it went worldwide. But
Wow.
yeah, I was glad I did it.
Yeah, because that was I mean, it was I've been blessed to have quite a few people, whether they're singers, musicians, comedians, that have been on that show, and it can be very humbling, but it can also help catapult into a whole new stratosphere. So, for you, number one, what inspired you to even go out there and put yourself out there to do it and to do the audition? And what did it do for you? What was that feeling like when you got those four yeses, when you had that conversation with Howie? Because again, it's a very powerful clip.
I had I, I had a manager before Tom, the friend named Kathy Caldwell. She was a comedian, and she had never managed anybody. But there was something about her. I said, "You're the one. You're going to help me out with this." So I had started to get some press in Philadelphia. In Philadelphia Gay News did a whole front page story on me. And from there, I don't know if you know this, but AGT has talent scouts that scour the internet looking for acts.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't
And
know that.
yeah, a lot of people don't know that. So they contacted Kathy and asked if I'd be interested in auditioning. It was an appointment audition. I didn't have to, go wait online all day. And she said to me,
Hmm.
they want to know if you want to audition. I go, I don't want to be on a game show. I said, it's a game show. She goes, are you insane? She goes, they're practically handing it to you on the plate. I go, yeah, but it's a game show. She goes, just So we drove up to Queens College in Queens, New York, and there were thousands of people there. And you walk by, it's like a circus. They're jumping on babies, they're whipping people, throwing knives at one another. And I walk in like the Queen of England. Hello, everyone. And they bring you into this auditorium, and there was one guy sitting on the stage. I did my 90-second in audition. He didn't raise his head. He sat like this the whole time.
Oh my God.
And he goes, yeah, he goes, so thank you very much. And I said, no, all right, fine. So now I'm pissed, I'm going, I'm cursing under my brother. Son of a, I knew I shouldn't have. As I'm walking off, he says, would you mind just waiting over in the corner? And I said, yeah, okay. They bring me into another room a couple of minutes later, and now the entire production staff is there. The EPs, the APs, all of them. They're at a big table. Now I got to go, and now I got to do the same 90 seconds, but this time they're laughing their asses off, right? I go, okay, what's going on here? So they go, very nice. Now, would you mind going into the next room? I'm like, what? So I go in there. Now I'm sitting with a girl, and she's asking me all these questions for like a half an hour. I go, wait a minute, what is going on? And she goes, well, if you got this far, there's a chance, pretty good chance you got the show. I was like,
Wow.
oh, okay. So they finished up, and Kathy's like, she knew already. And about 2 months later, 2 or 3 months later, they called me and said, we want you to come out to LA uh, to do the audition set. And I said, okay, fine. Now, I'm sorry, I know that's a long story, but
No,
that's what
it's
happened.
fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. We did the first show in Pasadena, the one you saw, Pasadena Civic Auditorium, big arena, like 5,000 seat thing. And it was interesting because working opening for Chicago and opening for other big names. I had been in big auditoriums, so you walk out in a 5,000 seat room, it could be a little intimidating, and a lot of those acts are not professionals. They're either semi-professional or amateurs. I walk out that kind of, all right, yeah, it's just another gig, I'm just gonna go out. And what got me so emotional was that when I did the reveal, all of the horrible gigs I had ever worked throughout my career, all of the Elks clubs and drunken bars and people throwing stuff at me, all of it, it just all came to me all at once, and it's like, yeah, it was worth it. And the answer to your question, did it change my life? Yes, of course it did. Yeah, yeah. So I got a taste of fame. You walk out on the street and people go, "Oh my God, I love what you did." I still get it occasionally when I go in the supermarket. I know when people recognize me because sometimes they'll come up and sometimes they'll just smile as I walk by because they kind of know who I am. It's
Wow.
a weird life. It's a weird life.
No, I can understand, and like I said, I think that I can only imagine getting those four yeses in the way that you did, and the people rising to their feet when you finished.
That blew me away. I did not expect that. Uh, I thought they were coming after me. I thought they were charging the state. I was looking for torches and kill the transition. Oh. But no, they were great. They were great.
Now, I obviously that's going to I always love to ask about favorite memories thus far, and I know that's got to be up there. I'm sure opening for Chicago's got to be one, but any others in terms of memories that just kind of come to mind as some of your
Yeah,
favorites over the years?
I tell this story to new comics who are looking for, they're doubting themselves. I got booked. The very first gig I got opening for somebody was Lou Rawls. I don't know if you remember
Oh,
Lou.
yes, you'll never find
And
another love
and
like
yeah,
mine.
I've been a huge Lou Rawls fan from way before You'll Never Find, when he was singing blues and
Oh yeah.
Stormy Monday and all that. And I just love him. I just love him to this. So they get booked to open for him. And it's a dinner theater in Sayreville, New Jersey called Club Benet. It's not there
Hmm.
anymore, but um, it was set up so that the dressing rooms were, can you see my hands?
Yes.
Okay. They were at opposite ends of the theater. So
Okay.
like I would be here and then Lou would have been there. But and I'm pacing around backstage. I'm nervous as can be. I hear Lou Rawls laughing. You can't. I mean, it's unmistakable.
Oh,
You get that deep voice. I said, I'm gonna go say hi to him because I love him so much. So I walked. I very shyly knocked on the door, and I went, "Hi, Lou. You know, uh, I'm your opening act." And he said, "Come on in, man." He's very, very friendly. And he must have noticed that I was nervous. I was twitching, and he goes, "You okay?" I go, "You don't understand." I go, "You're Lou effing Rolls." I was like, and I said it out loud. I go, "Lou effing Rolls. Oh my God, I love you." I go, "I'm really scared. I'm nervous. You're my first big star opening." I went through the whole thing. He goes, he goes, "Let's take a walk." I go, "Uh-oh, he's gonna clunk me in the head, throw me in the trunk, and not let me do the show." We go out. There was a back door where the loading dock was for the bands and all that came in. And we're standing out there on this platform, and I'm smoking a cigarette at the time. And he goes, "Listen, you are here because somebody thought you were good enough to be on the show."
wow.
He goes, "That's good enough for me." He goes, "Don't you be nervous because it's me. You're going to go out there and you're just going to kill. You're going to do great." And I did. And because I came off, he was in the wings. He goes, "Told you." I was like, "Yeah,"
Wow.
and it changed my entire life going forward in my career. That he had that confidence in me. He didn't even know me.
Yeah.
You know,
And someone of that stature, that legendary stature like him too. And
yeah.
Julia, as you're mentioning that, Lou Rawls in Chicago, something just popped into my head. I mean, it's one thing as a comedian when you're opening for another comedian, but how is it different, or how do you open for a legendary musical act? I mean, how much more challenging, or is it more challenging doing that as a comic than opening up for another comedian?
It depends on the act. I've opened for like Frankie Valli, and that was nice. I worked with him a couple of times. He was he was nice. Yeah, a bunch of people I've opened for, but I opened for KC in the Sunshine
Oh,
Band, right? And it was up in the Pocono somewhere, I forgot where, but they had no desire to see my ass up on stage. All they wanted was KC, and they were yelling out,
oh.
"KC, KC." I was like, you know, I can't get off sooner because I'll get yelled at for cutting my time short. And
Ooh,
it's just part of the game. You develop a thick skin after a while, and you realize how I managed to deal with rotten nights like that was I conditioned myself to say, "Well, I'm never going to see these people again. You know, they're never going to remember my name. When they speak of this, they'll just say, oh, they had some horrible comic. What was I don't even remember her name. So yeah, it is." And I have had comics say to me that opened for me that they were nervous about, you know. And I tell them what Lou Rawls told me. I said, "What are you nervous about? You're a comic. You're here because you earned the right to be here."
wow. No, that's
You know,
great. That's great that you passed that on, because, like I said, as someone who is so new in I can only imagine how much confidence coming from you that would have to give somebody that's opening up for you. So kudos to you for doing that and passing that on in that way.
I have the utmost respect for anybody who ever sets foot on stage in the first place, much less do stand up, whether you suck at it or not. I don't care. The fact that
Yeah.
you got the nerve to get up there and do
Yes.
it, you're a
Yeah.
comic in my estimation.
Amen to that. So I wanted to fast forward to some things that are coming up in terms of your tour schedule and some dates that we talked about before that I wanted to bring up. But before we do
Okay.
that, I want to just completely pivot into something different and bring up something that we talked about before we turn the camera on. And that's a mutual friend, a comedian that we talked about, and that's Dale Jones, who I think is one of the funniest human beings on the planet. And having met him in person, also one of the nicest. And you said you had a really interesting Dale Jones story, so I can't think of a better time to talk about that than now.
Okay. All right. So when I left comedy and I transitioned and became a teacher, I was out of it for 10 years.
Hmm.
But when things started to pop again, this is before AGT, I think. Yeah, I get I entered this competition for some reason at the Laughlin Comedy Festival in Laughlin, Nevada. Now, I don't know if you've ever been there.
No,
Um,
heard of it, but
okay,
haven't been
well,
there.
it's about 150 miles south of Vegas.
Okay.
It's like if it's like Vegas on welfare. It's kind of cheap and cheesy and everything smells of mildew. It's just, so this the competition, all these comics showing up, Dale being one of them. So I never have done well in competitions ever. I just don't like them.
Hmm.
But anyway, we have to do the audition, and I guess it's called the quarter semifinals or quarter whatever right before you go to the finals.
Okay.
All right, so I'm in the same group as Dale. Dale goes up and he destroys the room. I mean, just destroys the room. I'm even sitting there. I'm like, oh, can I swear on this show?
Yes.
I'm like, holy shit, I can't. That guy's amazing. Look at him. You know, right? So we and he was nice. I mean, we were so we go the next day. I think the finals were the next day. So we're in a different room in the same hotel, same casino, and it's down to like five of us. Dale goes up again, blows the I mean, just blows the place apart. I gotta follow him. Now,
No.
yeah, I know. Now you know his act. If you don't know Dale, he's very high energy. He's very, 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 very funny, and it's manic. He's a manic guy on
Yes.
stage, right? And I'm not. I'm like Perry Como up there. I'm really easy to listen to. I scream a little bit, but nothing like Dale. I mean, for Christ's sakes, he was. And I go up and do surprisingly well. And okay, so they announced the winners, and Dale, of course, won, and I came in third,
Wow.
which you know I know I was really shocked, and I always thought he was a nice man, and that's my Dale Jones story. So
No,
there you
and
go.
no, I appreciate that, Julia, because like I said, I having seen him live, it's one thing on the videos, but when you see him live, the physical aspect of his comedy
Yeah,
and the like nonstop just nature of it is definitely different than just about anybody else I think I've ever seen.
yeah, he's from the Midwest somewhere, isn't he? He's from Omaha or
Initially,
something.
yeah, in
Yeah,
Illinois,
Illinois.
southern
That's it. Yeah,
Southern
yeah,
Illinois, and because as we've talked a little bit about your journey in comedy, and when Dale was on the show, we kind of talked about it, and he went from there to Nashville. He's been a couple different places, but it's just always great to just get to know, people in that way. And then, like I said, I'm looking forward to meeting you in person because that's Zoom is great because it gives us a chance to do this when we may not be in the same room together, but having that opportunity to meet him and some of the other folks, and looking forward to doing the same with you. In fact, there's a date coming up not too far down the road from when this episode airs that you're actually going to be back in the suburban Philadelphia area. So, can you tell us about that and any other dates that you want to talk about
sure.
coming up?
There's a theater. Well, first of all, you can always find my schedule up to date at Julia Scotti with an I, juliascotti.com. It's always got my calendar. You can find out
Okay.
wherever I am. The day you're talking about is November 22nd. Uh, I'm going to be in a little theater in Ambler, Pennsylvania, called the Act Two Playhouse.
Hmm.
I love this theater. I've been there the first time. I used to tour with Kevin Meaney. We worked together, and that was the first place we worked together. We had a show called Big Pants and Hot Flashes. I don't know if you remember Kevin, but
Yeah.
uh, he was like, yeah, Big Pants people. That was Kev.
Yeah.
And I recorded my last album there. And this time we're doing something a little bit different. I've got a singer-songwriter named Christine Martucci who's
Hmm.
going to be opening for me, and she's just wonderful. So she'll be doing. I'm trying to bring it go old school. Comedians used to have a musical act opening, or vice versa. Musical
Oh
acts
yeah,
used to have
yeah.
comedians open. So I'm trying to go back to that. That's give the audiences something different, something they may not have seen before. So that's November 22nd. You can go to act two, the number two.org for tickets if you want.
Yeah, that sounds great. So that's a Saturday night, I believe, in November, the
Yes, 8
22nd.
p.m. show. You'll be
Okay.
home in time to for Saturday Night Live, I think.
Yeah, in fact, I'm making a mental note of that right now because Ambler's not that far from me. So I'm thinking I'm going to add that to my calendar as well and have that
Well,
chance to meet
I'd
you in
love it if you
person.
came out and and to see it. Yeah, I'd love to meet you. So yeah.
Oh,
Um, Again, I
fantastic.
love this little theater. It's just a wonderful place, and the people are so nice, and they put on great shows.
Okay.
Theatrical productions too. So.
Now, is there
Um,
anything else that you can talk about that's coming up, either maybe later this year or next year? Anything else in the works?
I've been touring with More Funny Women of a Certain Age show, the Carol Montgomery,
Okay.
from the Showtime specials.
Yeah.
She did three of them. I was on the second one, and Carol's an old friend of mine, and we love each other, and we tour together, and we laugh our asses off. It's a fun. We just were in King of Prussia at the Stress Factory this over
Oh,
the
that's right.
weekend.
That's right. Just before we recorded the show, the weekend before that
Yeah,
we're recording our
yeah.
conversation. So, and now with the funny women of a certain age, aren't there like a group that, and different people at different times at different places perform as part of that?
She had three specials, and what
Okay.
she does is she rotates the casts.
Okay.
But generally, there are people that have been on one of the three specials. I'll
Okay.
tell you, you want to hear a story about Carol Montgomery?
Yes,
What
please.
meant she is? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So she when she was doing the first special, which was just called Funny Women of a Certain Age, she books me on it, and I'm thrilled because it's Showtime, and I'm really looking forward to working with my buddy again. And about 2 months before the taping, I have to have emergency quadruple bypass surgery.
Oh my gosh.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I almost died. I was like, like in bad shape. So we were taping, I think, in February. And I told her, no, I'll be fine. Once the surgery's over, I said, I'll be back on my feet in like 3 weeks and I'll be able to do the show. I don't know if you've ever had quadruple bypass surgery.
No, that sounds like a pretty
It just
aggressive.
bounced back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So about a month before the taping, or maybe 3 weeks before, no, 2 weeks before, I remember, yeah, because she went nuts. She calls me, she goes, are you going to be able to do the show? And at that point, my voice, I still couldn't breathe right. I sounded like, I don't know if you ever heard Babe Ruth's goodbye at Yankee Stadium.
Oh yeah.
Well, he was talking like that. Yeah, it's really it. And so I'm on the phone with her. I'm going, yeah, I'll be there.
My
Don't you
God.
worry. Be there. Right. So, we were down to like a week at that point, and I just couldn't. And she was, God bless her. All right. She goes, okay, you're killing me here, but okay. If there's a second show, a second special, which she didn't know at that point, she goes,
Mm,
you'll be the
mm.
first one I book on it. I
Wow.
go, thank you so much, Caroline. I'm gonna watch it though. So sure enough, true to her word, a few months later, the success of the first one was so good that Showtime, planned the second one, and she called me, and that's
Wow.
the one that's up there now. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's Carol Montgomery is a mensch. I love her dearly.
Well, and I've had two of my prior guests were part of the group as well at one point or another. One was Carrie Louise
Yep,
and
Connor's wife.
Monique
Yep.
Marvez.
You had Monica?
Yes,
Okay, I don't know if you could see the funny women poster on the wall behind me.
a
Can you see
bit,
it?
a little bit of it. Yeah.
Okay, that was with Monique was on that show. We were in Livermore, California.
Oh wow. Yeah, Monique
Yeah.
was on a couple years back, and she was on a cruise ship, and the internet signal wasn't the best. So we actually just reconnected a few weeks ago. We're going to bring her back because she was awesome. But and we had Curry on after we had her husband Tom on, Tom Cotter. So just again,
I'll tell
all
you, you
great
want to
people.
hear a Kerry story?
Yeah,
Here's a Kerry story.
sure.
The day we filmed, the day we filmed my spot, the one I was on, we were all, they did it in Brooklyn in a place called the Bell House. Yeah, the Bell House. And we were all nervous. I mean, if you look at the lineup, I'll tell you another Carol story first. If you look at the lineup on that show, all heavy hitters,
Yeah.
every single one of them, right? And so we get there, and it's an hour before taping, and Carol says to me, "Oh, by the way, you're closing the show." I go, "No," you know, I go, "No." I mean, you look at the go back and look and see who was on that, and when they cut the show, when they edited it, they put me in the middle, but in reality, I closed the show there. Okay. Um, and so anyway, we were all nervous and we go, what if we go up? What if we forget our lines, our act? These are all professionals with 20, 30 years of experience. And so Carrie, we decided we're going to make cue cards for each other. So we got a whole bunch of cardboard. We're all sitting backstage with markers writing out our little sets, right? And Carrie's in the back of the Bell House holding up the cue cards. So, I mean, you could barely read them because she was so far away. But yeah, she's all right. She's good. She's good people.
Oh,
I love my
absolutely.
comedians. We're it's such a good little family.
That's one thing, Julia, that I've learned, and it was funny because um, I've had Tammy Pescatelli on a couple times, and then
Amy
Jim.
was on the show I was on the special I was on.
Okay, okay, so you have
Yeah,
so Tammy was touring 2 summers ago with Jim Florentine and Tom Cotter. They were doing the No Apologies tour. And they
right.
were at the Keswick Theater in suburban Philadelphia. And by that time, Tammy had been on the show, I think, twice, and Florentine was on, but Tom Cotter wasn't on. So afterwards, and back then I was doing the show with Rosie. It was the Rosie and Bill show. Now it's the Bill show. So we're hanging out afterwards, and Tammy got wind that Tom hadn't been on the show yet. Oh, she let Tom have it. It was fun. It was all in good fun.
Oh, that's
So
great. Yeah.
2 weeks later, Tom was on, and then 2 or 3 weeks after Tom, we had Curry on. But again, it's just such good people, to your point, and every person, just like the person who brought us together, Joey Callahan. They don't get any
Right.
nicer or any better than
No.
Joey. And I have just been so blessed to not just have great guests on the show, but just some of the relationships and some of these people are just phenomenal. And add you to that list and appreciate it. And I've got
Oh,
two.
thank you.
No, absolutely. And two last things, Julia, I wanted to ask you. And these are two questions that I ask everyone. And it's just something I've just built in because I think they're really help you get to know someone, I think, more than anything. And one is, if you were to look back at everything you've accomplished, everything you've been through in your career, what are you most proud of?
That I survived.
Hmm. Wow.
The odds of the odds of surviving in this business and making a living from it are infinitesimal. It's like being a major league ball player.
Yeah.
You may not be world famous, but you're working as a major league ball player. You were a working comic, making a living at it. You know, that's what yeah, that's it for
Wow.
me. I
No.
love it as much today as the day I started.
Hmm.
Maybe more, because I'm better at it now.
Is there anything that could come close to that feeling you get right before you take the stage?
I don't think so. And I'll tell you, I've done movies and I've done television,
Hmm.
series television, uh, and it's all hurry up and wait. I've written
Yeah.
plays, and you have to watch other people perform your words, and you're not happy with the way they do the how you wanted it to sound, and it
Yeah.
doesn't sound like that. With stand up, I'm the director. I know what I want it to sound like.
Hmm.
I know what it feels like to walk out onto that stage and hear the applause. I know what it's like to see people stand up at the end of my set and just appreciate what I've done.
Yeah.
There's nothing that even comes close to it, uh, for me anyway.
No, I can identify with that. I think the first time. I was in that class or the first open mic when people laughed, I was like, whoa, I've never felt that before. I think I want to do that again. So
Yeah.
I can definitely
It's I always
identify.
think it's like tying off and taking
Yes.
that first hit of heroin.
No, absolutely.
It's
And it does
yeah.
become addictive for sure. So that brings me to my last question, which is instead of looking back, this one takes us looking ahead a little bit. What would you say would be your ultimate definition of success in your career?
I think I've achieved it. I'm working. I make a living at it. I love my work. I don't regret 1 minute of it. I'd like to make would I like more money? Yeah, I'd love to make a few more shekels, but as far as the work itself, I feel like my best work is ahead of me. I spend a couple hours every day just refining and refining and refining.
Wow.
I have a whole new chunk now that I'm doing a new. I just did it this past weekend at Stress Factory. I'm trying to think of how it's like a whole 10 minutes in
Hmm.
the opening. It's brand new,
Wow.
and I worked it until I figured out what it was, why it wasn't working, and now it works, and it's just such a joy.
No, I can understand it. And I'm looking forward to experiencing that joy firsthand on November 22nd in Ambler. I've already made a mental note. I'm going to make a written note as soon as we're done to be there. So,
Okay.
folks, make sure you check out Julia's website and check out that date and any others that are coming up. And Julia, I just want to thank you. I know with everything you've got going on, I really appreciate you taking the time. It's been great getting to know you, and I'm really looking forward to meeting you in person. But thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Thank you so much, and thank Joey Callahan for bringing us together. I really appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
You got it. I will do. We'll thank Joey together. And
Okay.
folks,
Thank you, Joe.
yes, folks, we thank you for watching. Without you, this wouldn't be possible. We'll see you next time. This week's episode has been brought to you by Doherty and Company Insurance Services for all your business and personal insurance needs. Our friends at Tennis Addiction in Exton, PA. And the Malin Agency, where exceeding expectations is how they do business.